Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedikt, and I'm feeling distracted.
And I'm Benedikt. Today is July 7th. This is episode number 246, and I'm feeling unfocused, distracted, something similar today.
Something's in the air.
Something's in the air, yeah. But I'm also, you had your feelings set to tired earlier, and I kind of relate to that. I just my brain isn't fully there, I think.
I am just sitting here at my little island, and we've had beautiful weather. It's been amazing so far. We're in our third week, and the rain is just pounding down on the windows. And I had a hard time getting the family to vacate the premises because this is a little house with no doors. But there is a boathouse. They are not in the storm. They were going to go give out cake to everyone on the island. We're on the little island, and Lillian made some cake yesterday, and she was going to go hand it out. I don't think that's happening at this moment. Because as soon as they went out the door,
it's going to be very soggy cake.
Very soggy cake. So I'm a little distracted, both because we've just had a lot of visitors and it's been a lot of fun. And I think yesterday and today is the first days we haven't had any people here. So I've kind of just been in a kind of charging mode. We sometimes call it charging, like we do with our phones in our family. It's like it's a charging day. And some pain in my shoulder. It's hard getting older and sleeping on the cabin bed that is tiny. And all of those luxury problems that comes with having a summer cabin. But people have seen the snippet of me being excited about going to a plumbing course this summer at my adult summer camp. And actually, after we recorded, I think it was after we recorded last time, I got to, do even more plumbing before this course. I'm going to be so prepped when I come to this course because the sewage stopped working. Did we talk about this last time?
No, we did not.
No. So our guest was like, the shower is making funny noises when I tried to flush the toilet. That's weird. And I thought maybe something was clogged. We kept on just flushing. Then I remembered we have this sewage pump right under the dock, and you can open it and have a look in. And while we were looking at that, it was either me or Ula. I was like, but nothing is coming through. Didn't we just flush a ton of water down this thing and nothing is coming through? And that's when we realized the pipe going into the pump was not where it was supposed to be. So it was the pipe had slipped down. So nothing was coming out leaking, but it was on the wall. So Ula and I had to get under the dock. He managed to slide in through this tiny little area between the dock and the house. But I had to get on the stand-up paddle board and paddle in under the dock. And between the two of us, we managed to hoist up the pipe, get it back into the pump. And it's been working ever since. So the universe is calling. Yeah. I'm going to be a plumber by this time next year.
I remember we had a similar problem in a kitchen when we were renting a couple of years ago, where under the kitchen counters and everything, the pipe from the sink was basically also propped up on little bricks. And for whatever reason, it fell off from two of them. So it was actually had a bend shape in it, and the water would just pool in the middle and not continue on from there. So yeah, that was a similar issue. And we didn't we did everything. We thought it was clogged or whatever and tried to get it to free up. And it literally took someone coming over and dismantling the kitchen to notice that. And they were also like, who did this? Who built this thing? That doesn't make any sense. But we were able to fix it afterwards.
Yeah, it was similar here because all of the pipes had this thing keeping them connected to the floor of the boathouse, except from this long sewage pipe from the bathroom. Right. It had nothing. But now Ula is really good with ropes and stuff, so he kind of roped it up and we got it tied in a way where hopefully it will stay until next year and we'll see what happens. But anyway, just wanted to share that like little.
Let's see how your plumbing skills improve until then, and then you'll properly do it properly.
I don't know if there's that much more of a proper way you can like have these like metal kind of ropes or whatever it's called
Right.
instead. But with this, we can adjust and like it's easier to adjust it if needed, and it's easier to see if it falls out again. But anyway, this is not a plumbing show. But as with every developer turning 40 something, we all get into a vocational hobby, be it carpentry,
Right.
plumbing, or gardening, or all of the
Right.
above, which is what I'm
Right.
doing at the moment.
On a related note, my dad celebrated his 70th birthday this weekend, and we got him a 3D printer. So apparently, when you turn 70, you get into 3D printing.
Ooh, that's cool. He's still curious. I like that.
Yeah, he very much is. Like when he retired, like everyone was like, "Oh, aren't you going to be bored? Like, what are you going to do with all your time?" He was like, "Nope, I have a long list of things I want to do," and he has been super busy with it, with all kinds of fun stuff ever since. So it's really nice to watch.
I was actually, when I was in New York, I was hanging out with my cousin's father. And he was at IBM, I think, for like his whole career. And he said the same thing. Like he was a little worried himself, but like he's been so busy as, after being retired. And one of the things he's done is going kind of in, like he's being taught how to soldier, what's it called? Like when you soldier, isn't that what's called when like you drip metal to
Right,
like
soldering.
make
Yeah, yep.
soldering, these special like boards that nobody really knows anymore, from his friend who's like 90 or something, who's like one of the
Right.
few people who know how to do this. So he's like taking not courses, but he's like going over to this guy's house and learning how to do this more old school soldering. And we got into talking about how knowledge just disappears. Like there's a lot of knowledge throughout history that just disappears if nobody knows how to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm interested, very current topic now with AI, but it's also been that way before. And like maybe in 20 years somebody will need his soldering skills, like this part that's still keeping some part of some
Right.
system running and nobody knows how to do it. That's not why he's doing it, but I'm like, maybe you'll be called in to like fix something at some point.
Yeah, sometimes I wish it was better with like electronics and stuff like that. Because we have a mobile AC unit that we didn't use for a couple of years, but like during the last heat wave, we reactivated and it kept working for like 2 or 3 days before it like broke down, and now it's not working at all anymore. And I'm pretty sure it's just an electronics issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, something broke, like a capacitor or something like that. And it would be so cool to just like to be able to just open it up and diagnose it and just fix this one part, because I'm sure the thing that's broken is probably just like 20 cents or something like that to buy, and then get the soldering iron out and replace it. But I am not capable, and it's probably also not the right project to get started with.
We have something called Fixefest in Oslo, where there's this group of like a volunteer group who sets up these parties where you can bring your electronics or things and they will fix it for free. And they do that, I think, monthly at the main library in Oslo. So
That's awesome.
I have a couple of things that I've been meaning to take down to Fixefest and see if they can fix it for me.
Maybe I should try that as well, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like a simple enough problem. I don't. Yeah, maybe I'm underestimating their skills, because we have something similar. It's called a repair cafe, where they set it up somewhere and you can bring stuff and they look into it. But I'm also wondering, like, even if they find the issue, they're probably going to need parts for it. No, I don't know. But maybe I should just hold a big thing there and see if they can figure something out.
You can email them in advance and ask how that works out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll try that because we are not like no aircon at all right now.
And there's a new heat wave coming.
Yeah, not looking forward to that.
And the storm just passed.
Yeah, suddenly the weather's nice again.
This is the quickest storm we've had. I can still see it out through the window on the other side of my house, which is a tiny house. It's a cabin. I can still see it. But because it's supposed to be a heat wave coming tomorrow, I think, or the next day, coming through Northern Europe. Anywho, did you do any work since last time?
Yeah, we did some work since last time. A couple things related, like I grouped this a little bit. So I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we shipped the new WYSIWYG features for the editor. We have since started work on the new theme settings. So basically, we're going to have like way more settings per theme, so you can do more advanced stuff that currently isn't possible. And for that, Leo has been super busy building new input components for like all styling related stuff like color pickers, text alignment, stroke width inputs, and stuff like that. So that was a fun project to watch. And now we have a whole new set of components that we can use for those new theme settings. I myself on the back end have been working on getting the server side part of this working, and I've once again realized that building the feature is the easy part, right? Like nothing super complicated, basically. However, we have a production system, right? We have customers on there. There's also a theming engine already in place there. And the hardest parts by far is like figuring out how to transition from what we've got today to the thing that we want to use in the future without breaking something in the transition process, right? Like I need to really figure out how we move stuff and data around and how the interfaces change and like adapt in multiple steps so I can roll this out incrementally and slowly massage the data structures into what they need to become. And as I said, like by far the most complicated thing of this entire new feature. And even AI is not really helping with that because I mean, maybe I'm prompting it wrong, but like it has a hard time figuring out the right size of steps so it doesn't like accidentally jump too many versions and break stuff intermittently. So yeah, software engineering is hard. Greenfield,
move fast. I mean, AI is trained on move fast, break things.
Right, exactly. So yeah, turns out software engineering is still a hard problem. So yeah, that's what I'm working on the server side. However, last week, when Fable 5 came out again, I took a break from the backend stuff. Well, not from the backend stuff, but from the theme backend stuff, and figured like everyone's talking about how it's super great at security issues and finding bugs and stuff like that. So I gave it a try and had it scan our application for potential security issues. And I was pleasantly surprised that it did not find anything major. It identified a few smaller things. For example, on the unreleased Snowflake integration, we had an issue with the validation that was missing. So in theory, you could craft connection URLs that are completely different by injecting like a full URL into the identifier and stuff like that. Our Savical integration didn't validate incoming webhooks. So in theory, you could post booked events to other accounts if you knew the webhook endpoint, which had a long random string in it, so unlikely. But now we're properly validating the signature of the webhook. And I think this wasn't a thing when we initially built the integration. So I think Cyberkill just didn't have the secrets and the signatures in there, but I'm not fully sure. It feels like something I would have done back then. So the reason that is missing is probably because it was supported.
The long string was in itself the
it was sort of secure, but now it's securer.
Well, isn't that always the case? Nothing is ever secure. It's securer.
Yep. Securer. And the other thing was our OAuth implementation had a token revocation endpoint that was not actually checking client secrets. So in theory, if you had access to any access token from anyone, any client could invalidate that, which, if you think about it, was also not the worst of security issues, because if you already had the access token, you could do way worse things than just deleting the access token. So it was stuff like that it found. So we fixed a bunch of that stuff. So we're in a better shape, but also looks like we weren't in a super bad shape in the first place. That being said, going back to the message editor stuff, I think we're coming to a realization that we need to do a bigger overhaul of the UI for all of this. Man, this was like a shift in topics. I don't know, whatever. So we are planning to have like more fine-grained settings on the message editor itself, so you can do stuff like the first example we're doing is like, previously when you had an image in there, you could double click it and then either like replace it with a new image or change stuff like the alt text and the sizing, stuff like that. And previously this was happen, double click, you open a modal, do the changes, click done, modal closes, settings are applied. What we wanted to get to is like a more dynamic or like quicker way of doing this by having basically a little flyout or a popover next to the image where you can adjust that stuff. And the plan is also to have like more settings like this on other things, like for example on lists where you can adjust the padding or something like that. However, now that we've built it, we realize that while it works, it feels super awkward to use. And also like opening that popover, you need to click a little settings icon, and that is living in its own little toolbar, or maybe we use the existing toolbar, and like, I don't know, it works, it does what we set out to build, but now using it's awkward and doesn't feel very good. So tomorrow we're going to have a call with Leo, Jane, and me to just like figure out a solution, and this might actually entail redoing more of the editor than we initially wanted to. But yeah, let's see. It's interesting times, at least.
So that one feature.
Yeah, that one little feature is like spiraling out of control again. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, on my end, I got a message a couple of weeks back, I think, from the operations team that somebody hadn't gotten their reminder SMS to pick up their bike after a service, and I couldn't like find any reason why. And one missing SMS, you're like, it could be lost to the matrix. But then we got it again, and I had more time to like look into it. And I also connected Claude to our Make setup, because we were using Make, or not we, but earlier, a lot of the kind of backend logic is done in Make, which is a WYSIWYG for or automations or whatever. And I set up Claude to have read access and not write access, but read access to all of that. So I asked it to go through, and it was like, well, you have 3 Vonage API keys or secrets or whatever. And it seems like some of these are older or some of these. And I went into Vonage and we only have 2 secrets. We only had one. And then I created a second one when I started using, building out the Laravel. So it would use its own key. So we could potentially just kill these older keys. But somewhere in there must have been a key that was not in the UI, which was like really old and not showing in the UI. And when I created the new key, that one was killed off. So we had like 2 scenarios that weren't sending SMSs, and it was set up to fail like quietly.
You're right.
There were no errors coming from make or in our logs or like anywhere. But I must say, like, this is a place where Claude helped me a lot, like having to go through all of them, like looking at the keys, also security implications, because these are just hard coded into the make scenarios, which is fine if nobody listens to this and like goes after us. But some of these keys are killed now.
No one listens to this anyways.
Nobody listens to this. At least nobody wants to hack we in Oslo. But it was like one of these, especially make, you have to like click into the scenario. It takes forever to load. Then you have to click each node to figure out what is going on in each node. But they kind of have a blueprint, I think, that the Claude is looking at, like a JSON representation or like some way it's looking at these scenarios. And that has been super helpful. And I am working on replacing all of this with custom jobs or webhooks in Laravel. And it's also been good then to have it, then it can like replicate it and migrate it almost itself, right? But the reason this has been kind of working is that we also have emails, and the emails we're sending. So most people, a lot of people were used to getting both emails and SMSs, and people haven't complained when they only got emails, except for a couple of people. So it is now fixed. I have gone into the Vonage logs. We're all good. But it took a minute to figure out what was going on there. And also, just back to what is hard, like credentials. Oh my freaking, it is a pain to make sure they're all in sync. And we also, and this annoys me, a lot of services has gone over to like personal tokens. And we've had people leaving, and when their account or their membership to the organization is removed, the key stops working because they're not part of the organization anymore. And I understand why. For a lot of things, that's what you need. But for a lot of things, you just need this company to have a key or a secret or any credential that just keeps on working no matter who works at our company. It shouldn't be tied to the developer who was developing the feature. So this annoys me. We have started creating a user that's just called TechEdWe that holds all of these. But it feels like because what they wanted was everyone to have personal tokens, and then we create a member that is like the fake company that does what they were trying to.
Right. Yeah.
Which again, then you have to log in as that user. But when you have company credentials, like we have in Vonage actually has company credentials, but there was another, the issue. I don't know what happened, why this key disappeared on the internet. Things happen. But I really like it when all developers or everyone with access can actually roll the key and like copy the key or add it. It just makes more sense in my head. But that's not where we're at. And this AI could help me, but also, do we want the AI to have all our keys? No, we do not.
Yeah, like this is one of the headaches I always have with doing anything AI related, especially as soon as it's related to authentication and API keys, because in development mode, like all the keys I have locally, they are like not super critical keys. Like it's not a production database login or something like that. But it also doesn't feel right to have the AI read those files with the tokens And just like, I mean, when it reads them, it's in the context, and therefore it gets sent back and forth to their servers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, at that point, it's leaked, and you should probably rotate it. And that is nerve-wracking if you think about it, because you have, I mean, you can configure it to ignore certain files, but more
Oh,
often
Fable
than not,
doesn't.
it figures out another way, right? Like, it's like, oh, I cannot access that file. Well, let me start the console and look at the
Read
environment
and
variables
write it
and
to the
stuff like.
log and then read it from the
And
log.
yeah, exactly, right. So it has ways to figure out how to get to those keys, and it's always a little bit unnerving. Like, it gives me anxiety.
And that's why, like, I have not, like, I've been super restrictive with what I have, like, locally in my environment when, or at all, because I've had Cloud Code in the terminal just start reading other folders and, if it wants
Yeah.
to. But what I've ended up doing a lot now is actually just running it in Cloud Code on the desktop in the cloud session, because then it sets up the whole environment for every session, and it doesn't have the credentials, right? Because I don't have the credentials in the repo. We only have the example file for the credentials.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things it then can't do, but I don't feel like it's been such a hindrance. Like, if I need to check something, I can check it out, and like set up a proper environment locally and test. And I also worked really hard over the last couple of weeks, or Claude, I don't know who of us worked the hardest.
Yeah.
We to set up a proper pull request deployment on Savala, which is where we have, which is where we're hosting the new Laravel application. And there too, I've connected the MCP, but I've only connected it to like read logs and stuff. I don't think it's supposed to be able to read credentials and stuff. And it doesn't really work from the cloud environment because it's not one of those connections that work in the cloud environment. Anywho, because I really wanted these preview deployments so that I can go and check things, and then, Claude can open up the pages on the preview deployment instead of running a full, not deployment, but a full of like run the whole thing in its cloud environment. And that's because of these things. Like, I don't want my Stripe keys to be handed over. I don't want all of this to be in the logs. And I mean, we're in the EU, like, also, which is there is a lot of rules and regulations, which I am fully behind. So having to, try to be mindful. And then when all of this migration is done, my plan is to roll all of the keys, because Vercel already had a leak, or not a leak, but their credentials weren't really secure, it turned out. And I rolled some keys then, but some I couldn't roll. And we're not like a high, what's it called, like high target. Like, we're not a
Right.
very, what's it called? Like, we are, what is it, like high stakes. We're not, people won't get lots of creds from going after us. So I think we're going to be fine until we're done with this. But then I'm going to go through, roll everything. And then my next step is also thinking about having, some kind of credential manager, which I think is going to be more important now with AI, because you have, I have been using 1Password, which can inject, can even have 1Password, a CLI that injects secrets, and you have to sign in and like accept that it's going to be used. Those credentials are going to be used, and then you can have development credentials maybe in 1Password and even production ones. But then you can be like, well, I'm not accepting this, that you're reading these values, right? And I think there are other tools coming that are going to be helpful with this, because it's going to be a pain in the ass when everybody's just running MCP servers towards the deployment environment and MCP servers towards GitHub. There's GitHub secrets. I don't know if they, what's the permissions there. It's a mind.
Yeah. It's tricky for sure.
Mm-hmm. So,
sounds
anyway.
like you have been busy though. Like, I was expecting you to be on full on vacation mode, but doesn't sound like that.
I've been working like 2 or 3 hours a day. It is the perfect setup. Like this is how want my life to be. I just, well, I don't even get out of bed because I have this beautiful view. I just sit in my bed. Might have
Mhm.
be the reason my shoulder is acting up too, not just the sleep from sleeping in the bed. And then I sit there. I work for 2 or 3 hours. Look at the ocean, and it feels like vacation, even even if I'm
Even
working.
though you're working, yeah,
Even
yeah,
if I'm
that's nice.
working. And then I kind of we have lunch with the guests who are here, like, and it's vacation. And sometimes I even forget, like, from when I sit down to work, like the next day, I'm like, did I work yesterday? No, I couldn't have. And then it's like, I did, because I can look at the log and I'm like, I did work. And I feel like the AI is helping a little bit with this because I can actually get through a proper task in those 2 or 3 hours. And then I'm done. Like my mind, like we talked about, that work is just so concentrated now that you don't type everything out and you get those little mini breaks that after 2 or 3 hours, like I'm done. Like my brain would not want to work anymore. So then just taking, you know, the rest of the day like fully off,
Mhm.
super. Like I am, this is gonna, I'm just gonna keep on doing this for life.
Sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
And do plumbing and gardening and whatnot
And do plumbing and
after
gardening. Yep.
in the afternoons. Anything else I did? Yeah, we did send out that first broadcast with a new list, or not a new list. We exported all of the people we would think that needed to get the broadcast. We put them in. It was about 2,000 people. We had about 100 unsubscribes, which I think is totally fine. For not, we haven't sent them, and like some of these people haven't gotten an email in 2 years. And then I think
Right.
we had about 40 bounced or 30 bounced, which is also fine. Like people are, move companies and stuff. But most importantly, no angry emails. And we even got a reply that was like, "Oh, thank you for the summer like summer letter," and was really
Hmm.
like happy with getting it. So I think that is a success. And I think a lot of it has to do with the trick of putting a very visible, solid, you may unsubscribe on top of the email and not just burying it at the bottom of the email. At least I also know
Right.
this from personal experience that I get less angry if somebody is like, "Hey, feel free to unsubscribe," then you don't
Right.
feel the same
Yeah.
need to send angry, you know,
What I
replies.
what I what I see happening way too often with, especially like if you start emailing people after you have not emailed them in a long time, it's just people not building any sort of context, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're starting an email to an audience that you haven't emailed in, I don't know, probably once it's been a month or longer than that, you should have the first paragraph of your email should be an intro, who you are, why you're emailing them, and what all of this is about. Like, who are you? Because so often I get emails with like, "Hello, I'm happy to announce this new feature where you can now, I don't know, update your credit card in the billing settings." And I'm looking at this email and I'm like, what is this? Like, that company name doesn't ring a bell. The name of this person working there doesn't ring a bell. You're explaining something that doesn't explain anything about what you're actually doing or offering. And in those cases, I'm more likely to unsubscribe because I have no idea why I should care about this. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to put yourself into the shoes of the receiver and assume that they know nothing about you, because most likely they have signed up for your thingy but have forgotten about it, or like it will take them a while to connect the dots, and the more breadcrumbs you leave, the better.
I'm gonna take that device because we could even fit in a sentence in this little, like, we had like, "You've signed up because you've been interested," or "You've shown interest in we." I think we could have had like a comma, long
Right,
term, long tail bike service
right, right.
dot, and then please unsubscribe or update your preferences. But it was also like a summer letter, so there was no, "Hey, here's our new sales campaign," or
Right.
any like heavy hitting kind of sales or updates to service you're not using. It was more of a traditional newsletter where it's more about like what's happening in the company, and so it was sent to investors and prospects and old and new
Right.
customers. We kept it.
Yeah.
We decided to send to the old customers, and none of those are been unhappy either, which I find fascinating. Because some people might also just move on. They don't have small kids anymore. They might not afford it anymore, but they might still be interested in. And 2,000 people aren't that many people. Still might be interested in the story because it is a very good and fun company, and it had a lot of people like are rooting for the company even if they're not actively
Right.
using it,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah.
So we are slowly fixing all of this. So now Ula's task is to make sure that whenever a customer is updated or a prospect is updated, it is also updated on the email list. So we always have a current view into who our active customers are. So we can even segment active customers with things like the workshop is closed, or like any crazy things that might happen, or good things that are only for the customers. But like the last 6 months has been like, we want to send emails to our customers. Like, oh, it was a new export every time and an import in HubSpot because the connection had fallen to pieces.
Hmm.
So it also, I think the founder at least is very, and she was here for a couple of days, like motivated now, or like got some energy back that she can like, oh, I can just filter and I can send an email to all of the active customers or to all of the investors, or without having to go through the pain of like setting up a list again, or
Right.
exporting, or not knowing who's going to get it, that kind of thing. So I think we're on like an upward trajectory with like energy for marketing, and we're also getting some sales, which is great. But then we also see a lot of people drop out at the last step, which makes sense because you have to pay. But I went through the flow because of some other reason, and I'm like, okay, on my screen you can't even see the credit card form, and
Right.
and the sentence above was like, we'll contact you when the order is complete or something, but it sounded like you are done, like we'll
Mm.
contact you. So I made a deep link, or Claude made a deep link version of the order, so we can actually send people abandoned cart emails first manually, but we're hoping to automate something to capture them, and also made the summary of the order a little accordion so that the credit card form actually, you can see the credit card form, and nowhere on the page it says that you're done. Like you have to
Right. Yeah.
actually click pay, and then you get the message, we'll contact you, when the bike is ready and you can pick it up. So little things like that, they
Yeah.
compound, hopefully.
Doesn't hurt to go through your setup flow every once in a while. Yeah.
Yep. Because it's like a very large design that
Hmm.
that has been made, and I have a little tiny screen, so that's how I caught
That's
this.
good because usually it's the other way around, right? It's like you have a design and a large screen because you're at your desk and don't realize that,
Hmm.
like most of your customers will probably look at this on their phone and it would look completely different.
Hmm. But I did cut you off earlier because I seen in notes your father is already 3D printing. What is he printing?
um, he started with a little tool, like a little wrench, to do something on the printer itself. And one is this, like when he explored getting into 3D printing earlier this year, it was around Easter, and he went to a, not really a co-working space, but something like that, Maker Lab sort of thing. And he printed a little Easter bunny back then at the thing,
Hmm.
and he also printed that at home now, a little bit out of season. But I guess he just wanted to validate that whatever
Hmm.
he's doing now works as well as what he was experiencing in that lab. And that's it. Like, I mean, that was yesterday, so I assume he printed more stuff since, but I don't know yet.
So Lillian really wants one of these. It's like a snake dragon thing that they're selling at markets now. That is clearly
Mm.
3D printed and marked up a lot. So I kind of been like, don't. buy it. Let's see if we can find a 3D printer. See if your father wants to print one. Send it to Norway.
Yeah, like he was smart. Like when we basically did some crowdfunding for this printer. So when we gave it to him at the party, he was already like, "Yeah, thank you," and excited. And I take orders, but only in STL files. Like if you want something printed, you have to send me the print ready version. I am not going to like design something for you, which I thought was a smart move.
Smart move.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna join a makerspace that has like eight 3D printers in when we come back from France, and so I think we're gonna be able to make it at some point, and
yeah, that will be a fun project.
And maybe I'll end up 3D printing plumbing parts. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that wraps us up, I guess. So I guess have a nice time on your island. The weather's definitely nicer than when we started recording. So
still, I can look at the ocean. I can see that it's still going to be an ordeal to get to land, which we have to do today. But I think we have an electric engine, and then we've fully charged it now, so we're going to be able to get over, I think.
Nice.
But yes.
Well, yeah, then don't get lost at sea.
We won't.
And see you around.
The interwebs.